I'm someone that found out the information, studied it to the T, trial and error, found my hook, and grew to, have this amount of wealth that I have now. Investing, in short, is cause and effect. And once you can understand the cause, you can understand what's coming next. For me, it's making sure I'm being consistent with my trades, but also looking for really good investments at a really good time is what I did. There's so many different ways to invest, and there's so many different amazing things that can get you really good returns. But it's like, what are you interested in? What are your goals? What do you want to pass on? What are these different things? And then also, what's going to make you the biggest buck?
What's up, world? It's your boy Ross Mack, and welcome to Financial Freestyle here on Yahoo Finance. Look, whether you're a professional on Wall Street, a first-time investor, or just somebody looking to change their overall financial situation, there's always a first step you got to take. And look no further, because I'm going to be speaking to some of the most influential voices in my universe and asking them about their path to economic prosperity. And guess what, man? My guest today is none other than the lovely Tiffany J, investor and founder of Modern Black Girl, Tiff.
Yes.
I appreciate you coming. How you doing?
Thank you for having me. Good. I'm great. I'm so happy to be here.
I know
we haven't connected in a while. It's been a while.
Yeah. I mean, we started out on the Clubhouse days.
I know.
Man, back in the lockdown 2020, 21 days.
Life-changing.
Yeah, and look at you. I appreciate you, making some time. I thought you was probably going to be out campaigning or something, running for office or something.
Soon. You never know. You never know.
Well, listen, man, I know who you are, but to the guests, to the people listening and watching, who is the lovely Tiffany J?
All right. Who am I? So I am God lover first, daughter, sister, investor, and founder of Modern Black Girl. So one of the largest investment groups amongst women of color. And we educate women on stocks, financial literacy. And that's the big title. But then I do other things. I'm a silent investor. I'm an entrepreneur. Yeah. I'm a swimmer. Yeah.
So I'm not just going to let you gloss over, Modern Black Girl, one of the largest investment communities of women of color.
Yes.
When did you start and what made you start?
Okay, so it started in 2020, and quite frankly, I always say this, I had no idea I would be starting an investment group. I always say it wasn't on the bingo card for my life because it really wasn't. It wasn't something that I thought I would be doing. I started it in 2020 once I started to fall in love with finance, where years prior I had small introductions to it. But in 2020, when nothing but time is when I got good at it. When I made really good investments. I know a lot of people kind of know the beginning stories of investing in Tesla and having a really good mentor say, hey, you should invest in Tesla. And that really becoming a life-changing thing for me, and initially giving me that startup capital to start investing and really playing in the market and seeing what works and seeing what doesn't work. So that's how it initially started for me. But then I started talking about what I knew and what I loved about finance on a little app called Clubhouse. And on Clubhouse, my voice was really loud, but also really unique, where you didn't see a lot of Black women my age talking about financial literacy. And I would go on huge stages where it would be Black people in finance, or it could be people from Goldman Sachs or BlackRock talking about finance. And I would always go on stage, just be really bold and courageous and tell my thesis about whatever stock we're talking about in a really digestible way. And I think people really appreciated that moment. And from there, I would kept talking on stages, and we set up one day to teach a class of 50 people. 500 women showed up.
Wow.
Then 1,000, then 2,000. And then literally a month later, we're like, we should just probably make this a thing, make this a business. And literally November 20th, we started Modern Black Girl 2020. And literally 4 months after, we had 125,000 women actively taking classes and within our community. So it happened naturally of just me being not the big mouth that I am, not a big mouth, but just being the Sagittarius that I am, where I'm just I feel a way about something, I'm going to say something. And people are like, yeah, and they championed me to start this brand. So it happened organically. It just happened with me sharing my love at that time. And at that time, I had about $250,000 in great investments, and I wasn't working anymore. I had no plans to go back to work. I created a strategy that worked for me, where I knew I could make a good salary from, being in the market. And then I started teaching, and now we're here.
Now we
Yes.
so Warren, what's so funny is like Clubhouse was a wild time, bro. Like wild time, everybody on lockdown. Didn't nobody have no time to do anything but talk on their phones via Clubhouse. And you had a lot of interesting people come on Clubhouse.
Mm-hmm.
It was information from the likes of everything from music, culture, investing, right? You have an Elon Musk go on there, and then it'd be overflow rooms. But I'm laughing because I heard you on a few stages. Obviously, I used to throw, have my own.
Yeah.
I think we had like maybe 70,000 members at the largest peak.
Nice.
But I remember you being on stages. You'd be like, actually, that's not a good idea. And so we'd be talking about whether it's investing in EVs or space, because it was a wild time in like 2020. Everybody and their auntie was getting their PPP loans, and everybody was looking for advice. And so, when it came to voices of investing, you were one of the people that always stood out. So I wanted to give you your flowers. But,
thank you.
Let's actually talk about, at that time you say you got to about $250,000. Obviously you got some write-ups, some press where you turned 10,000 into several million. So one, let's talk about, how you did that, what that strategy is, and, how you found a way to actually make it sustainable.
Yeah, of course. I think my biggest thing is that everything stopped for me, right? I became a full-time investor and trader, and I want to differentiate the two because they're different. But I would trade a few times a week, but then also look for really amazing investments in the market. And for me, I'm really good at being able to just look at the world from a macro level and understand how money works for us. So for me, it's making sure I'm being consistent with my trades, but also looking for really good investments at a really good time is what I did. And understanding just different sectors that I'm interested in. I feel like there's so many different ways to invest, and there's so many different amazing things that can get you really good returns. But it's like, what are you interested in? What are your goals? What do you want to pass on? What are these different things? And then also, what's going to make you the biggest buck, right? At the same time, and getting at the right time for great companies. And I think I did that really well, And 2021, for me, I understood inflation very well and what was coming. And I made a lot of good energy investments. But also prior to that, I understood consumer discretionary very well and really understood the makeup industry and how I felt like it wasn't really tapped in. Like, people weren't tapped in on the market when it comes to like the Coties of the world, the Elfs of the world, the Ultas of the world. People weren't paying attention to it that much, especially Wall Street. And I knew that space because that's kind of my world, And so I made really good investments there, but then also just finding like small little unicorns and getting in. And we garnered a good chunk of wealth. And really, for me, it's just understanding market conditions and understanding that investing, in short, is cause and effect. And once you can understand the cause, you can understand what's coming next. And I study, and I have a team now, a team of like 7, and that's like my research and development team. And we're constantly looking at starts, constantly looking at markets to find the best investments, not only for me, but also the growth in my community.
You know what I love about your approach? And like when you go on social media, it's people that talk about investing.
Yeah.
You are the camp that you don't got a day trade to make a lot of money, right? You can swing trade with more capital and pick your spots, right? So, to a person that's sitting at home investing, right, just starting out, what type of advice would you give to him or her?
I think we have to understand where we are right now, right? Because someone getting started, are you getting started with $500? Are you getting started with $500,000? Are you getting started with 100? Do you have a 401k? Do you have IRA? Like, what is the things that you have that you're working with? And then from there, being able to format some form of a plan. Not only that, what does your time look like, right? Because the more time you invest in the market, the more opportunities, in my personal opinion, that you can get back. So what does your time look like? And being able to identify what this person's time look like, then we create a plan, because, the market is not a one-stop shop. There's so many different ways to navigate that.
You know what I love about the approach of how to actually invest the right way? Like, it's a million ways to skin a cat, right? But when it comes to investing, I think what's most important is that you come up with a plan, you figure out what your edge is, what your competitive advantage is, and you stick to it, right? So if you think you're going to day trade, understand one thing, right? You are, and I tell this to everybody, right? Like everybody I know think they can hoop, right? Like we go to Lifetime, we go to LA Fitness. They think that they the best out there.
Yeah.
But it's a completely difference when you the best at Lifetime or LA Fitness or on your park versus going to actually play in the Olympics with the best around the world. And that's what trading is, right? Like investing, you got the ability to have time on your side.
Right.
When you're trying to pick and choose trading, you're going up against people that are running billions and billions of dollars. And so they have a true knack and they are the true pros. And so, you know, when it comes to finding the best way to trade, you know, you got to find what your edge is. And I always tell people to just focus on the highest probability setups. But look, we got this amazing thing, and I think it's only right since we got Tiffany J in the building.
Okay.
We got this thing called Dear Mac, right?
Okay.
People send in, you know, some of their questions, and I thought this was perfect for you.
Okay.
And they're literally saying, you know, look, I've been buying ETFs, but what's next, right? I want to start buying, you know, individual companies in certain sectors. So what sector would you recommend this person start looking at?
Okay. So for me and what I love to invest in, I feel like you can go no wrong. It's consumer discretionary, consumer staples. Why? It's because it's easy to read.
Okay.
It really is, right? In regards to it's a lot of cause and effect, and it's very easy to look outside and kind of read consumer behavior to make really good investments, especially if you're someone that you want something within like 2 to 3 years, you know? Now, if you want something a little bit longer, of course, finding a great unicorn tech company will do you no wrong. Or even like a really good material company can do you no wrong too, depending on like how long you want to be invested in a company. But for me, I love investing in consumer discretionary. Like that's just, I can read behavior and know exactly what's going to happen within the stock. So I give an example. I always talk about, everyone asks me all the time, like, how did you know e.l.f.? Well, how did you know these beauty companies would do well? I'm like, well, quite frankly, I understand consumer behavior during this time that we're in and how it will affect the stock, right? And how it will affect sales and what will come for that. So it's a cause and effect that I feel like an average person, depending on their industry, they'll be able to tell. So if you're someone that loves cars, right, and you're in the car industry, you should be able to read market behavior and see what's happening to know what would essentially affect the stock and what's to come. So things like that is, you know, and in a way that's, of course, SEC compliant, right? Don't y'all hear, you know, insider trading, nothing of that sort.
No Martha Stewart, huh?
Nothing like that. But, you know, I think that's an easy way for someone to get started, and you can really make a lot of money when it's just not. ETFs are great, right? But even another thing, ETFs in certain sectors, right? A lot of times we just go for the big, like Vanguard, SPYs, QQQ. But like if you know certain sectors are going to do really well, like investing in like an SMH in the last 2 years would have done you a solid.
Yeah.
Very happy, right? Or even energy at one point, right? So there's so many different sectors like that you can invest in ETFs within that community if that's what you want to do, or finding something that you love. Again, for me, I just love consumer discretionary and consumer staples because it's very easy to read and, you know, you can make a lot of money from it. I mean, something like, I could go on and on, right? We can talk about like Costco's or just like how, you know, how that stock has been able to do the numbers that they've been able to do and how you could have saw that coming from miles away.
Yeah. No, I mean, you echo what one of the greatest to ever do it, Warren Buffett say, right? Like you saying invest in the things that you effectively know. And that's what Warren Buffett going to tell you. Buy what you buy what you use, right? The companies and the services that you use. And clearly, she has a edge when it comes to consumer discretionary and the beauty companies. But all right, guys, we got to go to a quick break. I have the lovely Tiffany J with us. Make sure you guys don't go anywhere. This is Financial Freestyle on Yahoo Finance. All right, guys, welcome back to Financial Freestyle. It's your boy Ross Mack. And look, I'm here with the lovely Tiffany J, the person who turned 10,000 into several million, and we getting some real game from her. So my question, and obviously, you know, I really want to know, what's your why, right? Like, what keeps you motivated? What keeps you going?
Yeah, I think the communities I grew up in, like, you know, I kind of moved around a little bit as a kid and teenager. And one of the common factors, or denominator, I should say, that I've noticed is that when it comes to Black and brown people, financial literacy is just something that doesn't exist, or it does and it's hush-hush. Like, we don't talk about money in our communities. And because of that, now a lot of us lack the real growth tools and tips and things that can really change our futures. And I feel like once I found out the information I did, I feel like it was just my duty and my service to let everyone know because of what it did for me. You know, I'm not someone that went to school for financial literacy or for finance, to be a trader, to be an advisor, and any of these things. I'm someone that found out the information, studied it to the T, trial and error, found my hook, and grew to, you know, have this amount of wealth that I have now. And it's the most liberating feeling I've ever had in my life. And because of the life-altering just changes I've been able to do, I'm like, I have to get this out to the world, right?
Absolutely.
And a lot of us, we're working these jobs and these positions and we're wasting our time because, quite frankly, that's all we know how to do. It's like, how can we, if we provide more options to Black and brown people, listen, we'll take it. I always say, you know, it doesn't take a lot for us. Just show us the way, right? And we'll be able to grow and do a lot more things. And if you look at just even new accounts that have opened in the last 2 to 3 years when it comes to like influential people like myself, you, and just like the Wall Street Trappers and all these guys that are of the culture that talk about financial literacy, you've seen that in the numbers where more Black and brown people are opening accounts. And it's about inspiring. It's how many people you can put that information, because even if they do it during the time you provide it or months later they come back and they look at that information, the fact that you were able to put it together and the fact that they're able to have that information, you know, it's life altering. Once you take an intro class, once you kind of know about the S&P 500 and you know about buying, you know about options, you know about these things, you really can't go back, right? It'll always be in the back of your mind, like, this could be the way. Even if it didn't work out for you in the beginning, planting that seed is my why, right? Planting that seed to know that there's other options. Not only there's other options, it's the biggest option, right? People, we talk about the number one ways to build wealth. People always think real estate. The number one way to build wealth is stocks. That's, Google it. I didn't make that up. It's stocks, and you manage it with real estate. So it's just like, how can we just kill the noise and just pay attention to this and know that there's so many different ways to do this? And planting that seed, that's my why, because of, I know lives will be changed because of that. And there are people that look like me and you.
Yeah.
And that's important to me with the work I do, is really just helping us as Black and brown people get out of the predicaments that we're in. You know, there's a lot of younger girls or guys that are coming up and they want to do things and they want to be things, but they won't do that because they're worried about money, right? They're worried about, oh, I don't have money to do this, or I can't, this doesn't pay enough. And it's like, we're killing dreams because of money. I don't want that for us anymore.
No, nothing more fulfilling than walking in your purpose and being in a position to open a door for others, right? And I think that when it comes to financial literacy, it's an equalizer of giving people the information that they have in order to build generational wealth, in order to change their relationship with money. And so when we talk about finance in the community, it's taboo, right? Don't nobody want to talk about what their credit score is, how much they got saved for retirement. And so when you are in a position that you have influence, nothing's more fulfilling than being a person that actually gives back and open the door and actually open people's mind to it. So I already said it, but I got to continue to give you flowers, right? But man, what? You say likewise?
Yeah, I mean, come on.
You know what I'm saying? But I say that now, the segue, because you got a lot of stuff that's happening, right? So what's next for Tiffany J? I know you got like chief of staff, you know what I mean? We almost didn't even get this meeting because, you know, she had to check with this person and that. So let us know what's next for Tiff.
Okay, so 2 major things that are happening. I think, let's start with the first thing. The first thing, when it comes to Modern Black Girl, we do focus primarily on stocks, right? But as you know, there's so many different vehicles to get to financial freedom, to wealth. And my whole thing is, once you let me into the boys club, I'm going to let the world into the boys club. And I think people know that at this point, right? Like, especially when I get into like a lot of deals and things of that sort. It's like, oh, Tiffany's probably going to go back into her community or find someone to bring it back to the community to let the world know, especially when it comes to wealth building. Like, no gatekeeping when it comes to wealth building to the Black communities. If you tell me, I will tell the girls, right? Not only am I going to tell the girls, I'm going to create a platform and an ecosystem for them to thrive within that world. So wealth management, it's something that I wanted to step into very early. I think our girls have been asking us, like, can you take our money? Since the beginning of time. And like, no, you got to lend on your own and this, that, you know. And for me, when it came to wealth management, I wanted to make sure that it's done in a way that it doesn't just only serve that client that has a $500,000 to $2 million or not, right? A lot of times when you deal with wealth management, they're looking for those big profiles and those, you know, big accounts. But what happens to that mom and dad that are family, and the dad is an engineer, mom's probably a nurse, and they have about maybe 50,000 saved, right? A lot of times their first thing is to go to real estate, right? Oh, we're going to buy a house. I know my Caribbean family, we're going to buy a house, get some tenants. Great. But there's more that you can do, you know, when it comes to different wealth management. There's so many different tools and tips that they can get into. And I'm like, I want to provide a plethora of options to families that are working really hard to build wealth for themselves. That isn't just real estate. Now, real estate is great, don't get me wrong, to build wealth, but there's other things. You know, a lot of times I get access to many opportunities when it comes to just like alternative investments and things of that sort that do me really well. I'm just like, I want to offer the women some of these amazing different tools when it comes to wealth management. And we've been doing it privately.
Nice.
A lot of people don't know that. You know, we've been doing it within our community privately, where we'll select certain girls within our community to work with myself and the team that we've created. And what people don't know is that already within the first year of us doing it, we have about 75 million under management.
AUM 75, quiet. I love that.
And we have a crazy wait list of people that have no idea that, like, they're like, wait, are we getting in? You know, and, you know, we want to focus on communities that essentially people don't necessarily think that they are a candidate for wealth management, and they're influential and they're important to have these tools and tips. Everyone should have them. And I'm doing a lot of work in that community. So working with women, entrepreneurs, athletes, primarily women-based athletes, is something that I'm very, very dear to. I love sports too, so it kind of just made sense. I care more about the clients and the people that I'm working with, their stories, because I know I'm good. Not only do I know I'm a good wealth manager, but I know my team are amazing. That anyone that works with us, it's like, you're in good hands. So I want to be selective and make sure that the people that we bring in, they want change, or they're trying to build something. They're really trying to make some things work for their families or whatever they're trying to do. So there's that. And then a book.
Uh-oh.
I wrote a book.
Author?
Yes.
We got another comma to add. Founder, investor, philanthropist, some more stuff, and now author?
Yes. I never thought, again, like, if you looked at my life 10 years ago, none of this would be a thing. But about 3 years ago, I started to really sit down and look at my life and the ups, the downs, and I'm like, my whole life actually has been preparing me for this very moment. And when I start to look at things from childhood, from being a teenager, I'm like, wow, like God and just like my life story has been leading me up to this very moment. And how do people identify the beauty in their pain? How do people identify the beauty in their high moments? And what does that mean? And where is it leading you to? And when you find that goal, or you find that passion for a project, how do you know this is going to be the one? Right? How do you identify that? That's what my book is about.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Well, listen, I want to truly thank you, Miss Tiff, for actually coming here and sharing your story.
Thank you.
And I want to thank everybody for being here and joining us on Financial Freestyle. Listen, I truly do hope you guys got some inspiration and some insight from us today, especially when it comes to your own journey of building true wealth. It's your boy, Ross Mack. Make sure you tune in next week, because we got you covered when it comes to building wealth.